Hey everybody, Josh Sigurdson, World Alternative Media here, and as we saw last week, there was a massive crash in the Dow, S&P, NASDAQ. The stock market was basically cratered. It was the worst week since 2008, and now, as we had predicted, we're seeing the stock market once again getting pumped starting Monday morning. As you can see here, going up 1,293 points, 5% in one day, exactly as we predicted. I do want, before we get into all the latest stories, I do want to bring this up. As I wrote on Float here, and I posted a comment that someone mentioned, and I understand why they commented. They said, "You've been talking about this for years, Josh, and you seem pretty sure that this is it." So how I responded was as so. Well, as always, the Fed could pump it back. The issue is with negative rates and money printing, it could send inflation sky high, which will lead to a rush out of the dollar, which will cause yet another panic. I'm sure they will try, but long term, it'll be absolutely futile. Monday, we should probably see the Fed attempt to pump. And that is exactly what we saw among other major banking leaders. Let's look at this article out of CNBC, which says, Dow roars back from coronavirus sell-off with biggest gains since 2009, surges 5.1%. And obviously, there has been a lot of panic buying at a bunch of stores regarding the coronavirus, which we're not allowed to bring up on YouTube because we get demonetized and censored and shadow banned and all that kind of stuff. So make sure to press like on this video and share it. Anyway, going into this story, as it says, stocks rebounded sharply from their worst week since the financial crisis on Monday, with the Dow Jones Industrial Average posting its best day in more than a decade. Expectations that the Federal Reserve would cut rates drove the gains, which accelerated aggressively into the close. The Dow closed 1,293.96 points higher, or 5.1%, at 26,703.32. The move on a percentage basis was the Dow's biggest since March 2009. It was the largest ever point gain for the 30-stock average. The S&P 500 climbed 4.6%, its best one-day performance since December 26, 2018, to close at 3,090.23. The NASDAQ composite also had its best day since 2018, surging 4.5% to 8,952.16. Monday's gains snapped a 7-day losing streak for the Dow. Apple shares led the Dow higher with a 9.3% jump. Merck and Walmart gained 6.3% and 7.6% respectively. Utilities, tech, consumer staples, and real estate all rose more than 5% to lead the S&P 500 higher. The major averages were coming off a massive decline from the week before, as worries over the coronavirus spreading dented investor sentiment. Carrying on to the next here, it says Dow surges nearly 1,300 points after worst week since 2008. And, there's a lot of speculation, as per usual, that's going to lead a further bubble. But as this Zero Hedge article says, panic buying sends Dow to best point gain ever on hopes of intervention. The BOJ bought a bucket load of ETFs overnight and lifted Japanese stocks. The PBOC's national team performed miracles, lifting Chinese stocks amid collapsing PMIs. The IMF, World Bank, promised to help, and everyone is now anticipating the G7 because they've always been so great at agreeing on unifying action. And all of that, along with Jay Powell's brief statement on Friday and Kudlow Manushin's calls for an emergency rate cut, was enough to lift U.S. stocks. But a ton of worsening U.S. virus headlines sparked some weakness as the day wore on, only to be rescued by Trump's optimistic tone on vaccines and treatments. That is 1,850 points off the overnight lows. As you can see here, it says today's stunning 1,293-point gain by the Dow was by far the greatest point gain ever. Notably, the S&P and NASDAQ broke above critical technical levels in the last few panic buying minutes. So I want to get into this a bit. There's so much confusion around this. Now, look, as we mentioned before, it was no doubt that we're going to see the plunge protection team come in for the Fed and start pumping markets. We're going to see a whole bunch of manipulation, and people don't seem to understand this is what brought it down in the first place. The coronavirus was just a nudge that the dominoes needed to start falling. And of course, now we're going to see a massive amount of printing. We saw, let's go back to 2008 to 2012. The interest rates went down about 5.5%, and that was a manipulation necessary to keep the economy propped up for that time period. What we're going to have to see today, I mean, it's going to go far into negatives. More rate cuts. I mean, guys, this is not good. In the repo markets, I mean, weren't they supposed to be short term? They're going into April now, and they're probably going to end up in September. Is it ever going to end? I mean, this is exactly what caused the problem in the first place. Massive amounts of manipulation, massive amounts of market tampering, and crazy amounts of money being printed by the Federal Reserve, which is going to lead to more inflation, which is going to lead to more poverty, and it's going to lead to more homelessness, and it's going to pull more money out of the economy, and everything's going to go up in value, or price. I shouldn't say value, in price, in numbers anyway. And it's going to cause more of a crisis. The sooner this comes down, the better. The more it's put off, the worse it's going to end up being. As this article says, out of zero hedge, stocks extend gains after IMF World Bank pledges to stand ready to help. Great. So we have these major globalist banking institutions that create all these problems and create vast debt around the world pledging to help. This is not how you help. This is how you hurt, guys. This is not a good thing overall. As you can see here, capital market freeze goes global, IPOs delayed over market turmoil. And I mean, it's almost limitless, the amount of manipulation we're seeing, and it's exactly as predicted, and it's exactly why we need to be preparing for ourselves. It's not about fear. It's not about panic. It's about being responsible and being ready for the inevitable when you have all of these fraudulent institutions printing currency, manipulating markets, propping up things that aren't fundamentally good. There's some great stocks out there, but for the most part, it's just crap. The fundamentals aren't there. Look at the .com companies. Look at the tech companies. It's ridiculous at this point. We're seeing the tech companies being propped up, and they've been taking away from users, and getting worse and worse, and not adding anything of value. Facebook tried to add Libra. It failed miserably, though they're still attempting that crap. And I mean, now they're talking about pushing out Jack Dorsey, the CEO of Twitter, as you could see here, which we'll go into further into in another report. But my point is, they are just trying to pile up on a problem that's already existing because of the manipulation, because of the tampering, and what it's going to lead to is people being more poor, markets being less stable, and more printing and more banking powers trying to gain more power, the push towards a cashless society, all that kind of stuff. Guys, it's not good for us. So, as I always say, look towards food, water, shelter, self-defense. You're not gathering things for the toughest guy on the block. Gold and silver is wealth insurance, not investment advice, just my opinion. I think it's something that we should all be looking into, as well as cryptocurrencies long-term, not short-term. Cryptocurrencies right now are probably going to get hit further really hard by the stock market going down in the near future. But with that said, for many reasons, privacy reasons, reasons of decentralization and breaking apart from that system, and long-term possible speculative growth, again, in my opinion, I honestly think that decentralized, properly, fundamentally useful cryptocurrencies and blockchain infrastructure technology is imperative to freeing ourselves from these chains that unfortunately so many people revere ignorantly, unable to understand the real problems here. The more you prop up this bubble, the bigger it's going to burst, the more it's going to come down on other people's shoulders. It's all fake. It's all fake. Anyway, we should also check. You guys should check out our recent videos with Tim Pachote of the Liberty Advisor. Of course, he is a financial advisor. You could become his client. He has been calling this stuff dead on, like insanely, the tops and the bottoms, the upsides, the downsides. During the downsides, when we saw this massive crash happen in the last week, Tim's clients made like 181% off of that. He put a bunch of money into put options back on January 15th, which was very intuitive, and something, again, Tim got in the day that Lehman Brothers collapsed, and he's been specializing in the issue of collapse management and obviously alternative things like cryptocurrency and gold and all that kind of stuff. So make sure to check our videos with Tim, and if you want to become a client, it's all linked in those videos as well, like the greatest economy ever debunked, a recent video we have on our channel. And of course, find us on float.app. That's flote.app. You can see it up on the screen there. Seriously, guys, this is imperative that we have people move to these alternative platforms, because this is going to be shadow banned. They're not going to let us reach people. It's getting worse than ever. And if you go on our float, I recently posted, because people were saying that I was lying about the demonetization on our channel. This is what our channel looked like today. Just mostly demonetized, the ones that aren't allowed to be viewed at all. And basically everything's confirmed by manual review, even videos that are just on the stock market. Apparently that's hate speech, inciting violence, or whatever. We interviewed Rick Ross, the former CIA drug runner, Kingpin, and it got like 400 views in the first 12 minutes, and then like 2 hours later hit 728 views. It's just so infuriating and ridiculous. So we need your help more than ever. So join us on float.app at Josh Sigurdson, as well as at WAM, W-A-M, and find us on all the other platforms, Instagram, whatever it might be. We need your help more than ever. So check those links below. GoFundMe, Patreon, subscribe, or all that. Check the intro after this video. I really appreciate everyone joining us today. We are going to keep fighting, because it's imperative that we fight this behemoth of state, behemoth of banking, this fraudulent system meant to enslave you in debt and make you revere those chains. We need to counter the propaganda, and we will continue here at WAM, no matter what they do to us. I appreciate everyone joining us, and until next time, this is Josh Sigurdson signing out from World Alternative Media. Find the truth, be the change. Like what you see here, WAM? Don't forget to check the links below. GoFundMe, Patreon, subscribe, star. We really can't do it without you. We've been so insanely shadow banned, about 90% at this point, and 95% demonetized. As Susan Wojcicki, the CEO of YouTube, comes in and says that she is shutting down quote-unquote controversial content and cutting out the views on this controversial content by 70%. She's been bragging about it. We need your help more than ever in this battle for truth in information. You guys are what keeps us alive, so we really appreciate just even $1 a month makes a huge difference. If everyone could give just $1 a month, we wouldn't even have to worry about competing against the mainstream propaganda networks. You can also donate to our Bitcoin address on the screen for you to scan if you please, as well as in the comments and description. Liking and sharing makes a big difference as well, and finding us on alternative social media platforms like float.app, that's flote.app, makes a huge difference. We're at Josh Sigurdson as well as at WAM. Float is replacing Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, Twitch, Tumblr, Reddit, and Patreon all in one with encrypted private messaging, and of course monetization on videos for creators, live streams with super chats in crypto, and most of all, no algorithm, because at the end of the day, it's all about reach, guys. This is all about actually reaching people with the message and waking up the public. You can also find us on Instagram, Twitter, Minds, BitChute, all sorts of different platforms. Try to follow us on as many things as possible, because very soon this channel will very likely just be completely deleted from YouTube, and you'll never see us again, and you'll be stuck with only the mainstream networks. Also, come on out and see us at Anarcho Vegas 2020 in Las Vegas, Nevada in July, where such speakers such as G. Edward Griffin and many others will be speaking. You could use promo code WAM on your VIP tickets and save 10%, as well as buy extremely cheap tickets for just $20.20. You won't find a cheaper conference than this with such amazing names. Check anarchovegas.com for more information on that. We hope to see you out there. And anyway, I really appreciate all of you guys joining us. You make it possible for us to survive in this volatile, propagandized climate. Until next time, this is Josh Sigurdson signing out from World Alternative Media. Find the truth, be the change.
I'm sure you have already changed people's minds in your young age because you're involved, and I like that.